Welcome to Digital Conversations.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So, what was it about the script of Kankhajura that brought you instantly into this? Like, what drew into the script?
When I first read the script, I think what fascinated me the most was that, the entire world in which this story is set, which is in Goa, it felt very gritty and very sort of nuanced from the get-go. It felt like, it had a very interesting story to tell, and each of the characters has multiple layers, every single one of them, from Ashu to Amy to Max, and everyone's just got their own layers going on, and especially Amy, my character, that they've kind of kept under wraps, which will kind of get revealed soon, um, was was nothing like who I am in real life. Whether my appearance, whether the way I talk, the way I dress, the way I behave, all of it was so different from my real life personality that it just felt like a beautiful challenge, which, in the past, I've never done something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
My character in Maiden Heaven, for example, was much closer to who I am in real life. But Amy is just something else, and the way she talks, she doesn't care whether she's wearing makeup or not. She doesn't care if, how she's dressing per se. She has like her own style. And she's also got her own strengths and weaknesses. She's very strong, but when it comes to the men in her life, she's got very complicated relationships with them, right? So I felt like it's very rare to see trans characters written with so much depth or with so many layers, because very often we're just added as masala in one story, or just like, one plot twist or something, and you know that's very irritating to me, because for many years filmmakers look at trans characters and say, oh, but there are no trans actors, where should we cast from? Now you can't use that as an excuse, because
Yeah.
there are trans actors. And then now we are going to workshops also, we're working on our craft also, we have a social media presence also. So now what is your excuse? Like, you have to. Um,
Correct.
so I think I saw all of the attributes in Amy that I wanted to explore as a character, as an actor, that I've not done before. So I think that's why I was very immediately like, yes, I will do this.
And what kind of emotions and creative preparation you went through for this role? Like, as you said, like we don't have any transgender in this field. So, what kind of creative and emotional sort of presentation you had?
Right. So I think the first thing that I did was, there is this person called Pooja Swaroop.
Hmm.
She's an amazing theater actor, and she runs this organization called Patchwork Ensemble. Uh, and she also trains actors, and she had
Okay.
trained me for Hidden Heaven. We had done a workshop. So I reached out to her, and we did a workshop together for this also,
Hmm.
because I just felt like, there are emotions that this character has, which I've just never experienced in my real life. Like, I have no idea what it is like, for example, to be in a physically violent, abusive relationship, and at the same time being, romantically interested in someone else. Like, I don't know how to imagine something like that, but that is the joy of being an actor, because, many a time you have not gone through what your character has gone through, or, it's not part of your life, but you need to bring it alive. And that is why we have this body, that is why we have this
Yeah, yeah,
voice
yeah.
and breath and our face, and these are all tools, right? And so, like, actors use these tools to create art, and so that is what my acting coach taught me. So that was so much fun. And
Great.
we had a dialect coach on set who was helping us with Konkani words here and there, and
Okay.
especially that Goan Catholic Konkani, because
Ah,
Amy is
interesting.
uh, she comes from there, and she's got this hair, and so she's completely different look, right, which I really love. So that was that preparation. Then this is really funny, Amy has to ride a scooter. I don't know how to ride a scooter. So I had to, my friend who stays in Versova, he has a scooter. So after the traffic, you know how Bombay traffic is. So after the traffic would sort of subside, like at 12 o'clock at night or something, we would take the scooter out and he would teach me how to ride it.
Great.
It was so much fun. And the thing is, that this is also not set in glamorous Goa. Okay, so this is
Yeah.
set in rural Goa where there's no roads. It's all like kacha roads and stuff. So I'm like, how am I going to ride a scooter in this place? And that also I learned. That was a lot of fun. And what else? I think, yeah, that was about it. And of course, I watched the original international show itself, a few episodes, like 4 episodes or something I'd watched because not to like replicate it or anything, but I wanted to understand what is the relationship between her and Ashu. Like, what is, how close are they? How do they interact with each other and stuff like that? So for me, I that the watching of the show was also important in understanding this character. So I think yeah, that's that's what I did.
Great. And you have also learned a bike, like riding a scooty during this duration, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, so like one of the firstly open trans women in this Indian OTT content. So like, how do you see Kankhajura contributing in representing like open transgender women like that way?
You know, I feel like currently, right now, it's a very uncertain time for Bollywood or for entertainment in general. Maybe not so much in other regional industries. Like, I think my friends in Telugu cinema, like for example, Sesh is a close friend of mine, Sesh Shadavi, and um, what he tells me about the Telugu industry is very different and how it works there. But as far as Bollywood and OTT is concerned, people don't know exactly what is working in theaters, what is working on OTT, because consumer patterns have changed, consumer behaviors have changed, especially because of social media and so many other factors. So I think at a time like that, to have sensitive portrayals of trans people is beautiful, and it's really something I feel very lucky to be part of because we very rarely get to see trans characters which are written with empathy, which are written with some amount of humanness, I think is the word, where you're able to watch a character and feel something and feel empathy or feel anything, that doesn't happen. Like the trans person is always the person that you laugh at or you laugh um, because they become the joke in the conversation or something. So Amy is nothing like that. Like she's someone that you would look at and feel for as a person because every woman has been treated like that by some man in her life or the other. So I think every woman watching is going to be like, yeah, we've all had at least one Kankhajura in our lives, and may no woman ever deal with a Kankhajura in her life ever again. So,
That's what we are.
yeah. Huh?
That's what we are hoping for.
That's what I'm hoping for.
So, like we know that you've been a doctor, like you were
Yeah.
a doctor, and then how does like the experience as a doctor and an activist like shape the? I mean, what is the approach for acting? Being a doctor as well as an activist. So, what do you think?
Yeah.
How do you shape?
So I'll talk about each of those three things a little bit. I feel like the activism part, no, is unfortunately something that trans people end up automatically becoming in our lives, whether we like to do it, whether we don't like to do it. When we come out of the closet and we start talking about it, we have to talk to our parents, our family, our neighbors, our college people, workplace. So you end up explaining yourself so many times that
Like
you
journal.
automatically become activist. It's not like we started feeling ki, I will be one represent. No, that was never the intention. But and even on social media for that matter, when I would talk about my journey, it was not because I had the intention of being an example or anything. I would talk about my journey on social media because where else would I talk about it? Like, I didn't have any other place. I didn't have a supportive family at that time. I didn't have supportive friends. I didn't have a therapist. So social media or the internet was the one place where I could be myself freely, But when that gets attention, you automatically become a role model in some ways for a community, right? But now I really enjoy it. I take a lot of pride in it. I take a lot of happiness in it because I know what it's like when you don't have any role models, when you don't have someone to look up to, when you don't have an example to show to your parents to be like, see, this person has done it, so I can also do it. So I have been very lucky that I've had one or two people like that in my life, like a Ghazal Dhaliwal, for example, who's a writer. Um, and when I realized that I can be that person for other people, and when those people reach out to me or their parents reach out to me and tell me what impact it's had on their life, that's when I realized that, my God, like there is a lot of impact to the work that we do on the internet or as actors or in entertainment. So this whole, oh, entertainment is separate from society. We don't want any responsibility. I don't believe in that school of thought. Entertainment is a big part of our lives, whether we like to admit it or not. Since we're small children, we are exposed to entertainment. So, of course, it influences the way that we think. Of course, it influences our thoughts. So, I think that the more sensitive portrayals we have moving forward, the greater impact it's going to have. So, that's the activism bit, right? The doctor and actor bit, that's very interesting because I feel like these two worlds are diametrically opposite from each other. And they have like nothing
Thing to do with each other.
nothing to do with each other. And but when you start exploring, you realize that actually there is more in common than you thought.
Mhm.
Both of these worlds are very intense, right? Like they require a lot of time and energy and effort from you. For
Yeah.
example, if you need to play a character that is being abused and you need to do 20 takes of that, it's not easy. It's very intense and it requires a whole lot of physical and emotional energy from you. It requires preparation. You need to maintain your body, your face, your skin, and all kinds of. So there are many demands. And similarly, being a doctor also has, different demands, but it does have severe demands or many demands of you. And they're both also very hierarchical. So there is quite a bit of hierarchy in both of these professions, on a set or in a hospital, right? First AD, second AD, third AD, first assistant, second assistant, third assistant. So there's all these hierarchies in a hospital, junior, senior, this, that. So that is part of any job. It's part of any sort of system where, any workplace rather, that any workplace has a hierarchy, and medicine is also part of that, and so is entertainment. And the other thing that's important that medicine taught me is attached detachment, right? Where um, you have to give empathy, you have to give a lot of care, you have to give, a lot of humanity, but you can't get too attached. You can't get too personally involved, or, because that's not the job. You need to stick to your job. So it's the same with a character you're playing. Like you have to give a character your entire empathy and like really step into that world. But when cut is called, you cut and you go back home. It's like you cannot take the trauma of that character and this and that and sit with that for like, you can't, it doesn't make sense. So you also need to learn how to cut off from that after. It's like it needs to be real in the moment, but when that moment is over, that's it. It's not real anymore. So, and I think medicine really helped me inculcate that sort of understanding as well. Yeah.
So one last question and we'll wrap up.
Okay.
So, what message would you give to the young queer individuals, like watching you break new grounds in Indian entertainment?
I would say that for us as trans individuals, it is never going to be easy. You know, there will always be people who don't believe in you. There will always be people who have something negative to say about you, who will make fun of you, who will call you names, who will not understand who you are. But you need to understand that you are not meant to be everybody's cup of tea. It's okay. It's okay if some people don't like you. It's okay if people don't understand you. You need to understand who you are. You need to love who you are, and you need to understand what you love to do. Right? So find that passion, find that drive, and let that become your purpose. And then everything else becomes much easier. And then when people talk, it just sounds like background noise because it doesn't matter
Yeah.
anymore, you know. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
Thank you and all the best for Kankhajura. I mean, it's already out, but then we'll be waiting more people to watch it and see what sort of performance you have given.
Thank you.
Yeah.